The theatre of the absurd, a movement primarily in theatre that responded to the seemingly illogicality and purposelessness of human life in works marked by a lack of clear narrative, understandable psychological motives, or emotional catharsis. Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot is one of the most celebrated works in the theatre of the absurd. Martin Esslin coined the term the theatre of the absurd in his 1960 book of the same name. Aestheticism. Aestheticism, also the aesthetic movement, was an art movement in the late 19th century which privileged the aesthetic value of literature, music, and arts over their socio-political functions. According to aestheticism, art should be produced to be beautiful rather than to serve a moral, allegorical, or other didactic purpose, a sentiment exemplified by the slogan "Art for Art's sake." Aestheticism originated in 1860s England with the radical group of artists and designers, including William Morris and Dante Gabriel Rossetti. It flourished in the 1870s and 1880s, gaining prominence and the support of notable writers such as Walter Pater and Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde's novel The Picture of Dorian Gray is one of the most well-known examples of aestheticism in the 19th century literature. The Angry Young Men. The Angry Young Men were a group of mostly working and middle-class British playwrights and novelists who became prominent in the 1950s. The group's leading members included John Osborne and Kingsley Amis. The phrase was originally coined by the Royal Court Theatre's press officer to promote John Osborne's 1956 play Look Back in Anger. Following the success of the Osborne play, the label was later applied by British media to describe young British writers who were characterized by disillusionment with traditional English society. Their impatience and resentment were especially aroused by what they perceived as the hypocrisy and mediocrity of the upper and middle classes. They shared an outspoken irreverence for the British class system, its traditional network of pedigreed families, and the elitists of Oxford and Cambridge universities. Beat Generation. The Beat Generation was a literary movement that began after the Second World War and known for its liberal attitudes towards life. The Beat Generation was influenced by American culture and was broadly popular in the 1950s. The movement rejected traditional narrative elements of novels, short stories, poems, and materialism. The writers in this movement valued things like the clear and explicit portrayal of human condition, sexual liberation, and more. Allen Ginsberg's Howl, William S. Burroughs' Naked Lunch, and Jack Kerouac's On the Road are among the best-known examples of beat literature. The Bloomsbury Group. The Bloomsbury Group was a group of associated English writers, intellectuals, philosophers, and artists in the first half of the 20th century, including Virginia Woolf, John Maynard Keynes, E.M. Forster, and Lytton Strachey. This loose collective of friends and relatives was closely associated with the University of Cambridge for the men and King's College London for the women, and they lived, worked, or studied together near Bloomsbury, London. According to Ian Osby, although its members denied being a group in any formal sense, they were united by an abiding belief in the importance of the arts. Their works and outlook deeply influenced literature, aesthetics, criticism, and economics, as well as modern attitudes towards feminism, pacifism, and sexuality. A well-known quote attributed to Dorothy Parker is, "They lived in squares, painted in circles, and loved in triangles." Commedia dell'arte. Commedia dell'arte, also known as Italian comedy, was a humorous theatrical presentation performed by professional actors who traveled in troupes throughout Italy in the 16th century. The Commedia dell'arte was a form of popular theatre that emphasized ensemble acting. Its improvisations were set in firm framework of mass and stock situations, and its plots were frequently borrowed from the classical literary tradition of the Commedia erudita or literary drama.